Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
And a big old howdy to you, as in the way we say it here on the Big Biz Show, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for being along for the ride. I am Costa, sitting here at the bar where I normally sit. That is Mary Bird Godwin. Of course, our executive producer is Greg Todorov there at third base. And the man with the plan is Sully.
And when he says where I normally sit,
yeah,
talking about when he's not here.
Exactly. I'm always in the bar. Whatever the bar is.
Do you have a corner bar?
I do.
Do you really?
Absolutely.
You have a corner bar? Like you walk in and they yell, Costa!
Yeah.
What's yours?
The Ken Club in Kensington.
Oh, I love that place.
The Ken Club.
I haven't been there in many years.
All right, we'll leave that one alone.
Yeah, let's go.
Mine was new
Mike's
news.
a member of the Ken Club.
Do you have a special seat where you go to every time? Are
Yes.
you
Bar
like
stool.
Yeah, the
Turned
bar stool's upside down.
It's one of those things where you walk in and your shoes go
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
on the floor.
Just like that.
Yeah.
I knew you were going there.
Oh, yeah.
You no longer have a...
I did.
Did you?
Oh, I had Lamplighter was a karaoke.
Lamplighter.
My picture.
Oh my
Great one.
God.
My picture was
Great
on
one.
the outside.
Lamplighter.
I walked in, they knew my song. It was like
How about you, Greg?
songs.
Yeah. Oh, the shanty.
Oh, of course.
Of course, the shanty.
I heard that's closed now.
Cardiff by the Sea.
No,
it's expanded.
We've
What are you
closed it
talking
down.
about?
We've closed it down. My first corner bar, let me bring it to a gentler time.
Oh, there we go. Nope. And football.
The year was 1980,
Oh my God.
and a very fit Bobby Sullivan, ignoring the jeers of the other Price Club employees, went down to a small corner bar called the Silver Spigot.
Absolutely.
Wait, what?
Silver Spigot.
Billy Baker, my buddy's dad owned the place.
Oh.
Billy Baker ended up owning a bar called 067 where Rusty Nails played every Sunday.
No way.
Oh, wow.
35 years later.
Good Lord.
Now, the only corner bar that I can think of now, James, we've played there 150 times.
No.
Every bar stool has a different STD.
Oh, let me guess. Let me
It's
guess. Can I
business up
guess?
front, party in the back.
Oh yes.
Every Carmel Valley, Del Mar, Ladera Ranch, Beverly Hills, San Diego, Dallas, Miami, and New York Mom Babe was in the front. And bikers and meth addicts in the back. With one of those punching bag
Oh no.
and then pool tables. And then instead of food and beverage, they have a food truck called, Mike, The Tip.
Just
I'm gonna say the Kraken, but it doesn't
It is
sound like
within
it's the Kraken. No, we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. But
has a panoramic view of the California coast.
Let's talk about
the
Kraken.
first thing you see when he walks out the door is the roof of the Kraken.
I spent time in the front and the back. What does that say about
Whoa,
me?
whoa, family show. Hey.
You remember we had 8 people on that stage, and the stage was no bigger than
Back there.
probably where I'm standing.
Don't swing your instruments. Just keep
We
it
had
like
James.
this.
James was here.
Yeah.
There was a guitar player next to him with a window. James used to go out the window because there was no back door to get to his car. He'd climb through the window.
That was it.
I was here, drummer here. We had 2 horn players here. We had Nacho here, or vice versa. And our keyboard player was at a high top, okay, a pub table, running sound
Oh my God.
while he was singing and setting up. I mean, it was.
I love it. I love it.
I will tell you this. Our Emmy Award-winning director,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Jared Coleman, answered an ad because I wanted to act like a big shot and have my stuff set up. I just wanted, because I didn't want to talk to, I just want to get up there and get out.
Exactly.
So I said to Jared, it's $50 and all you can drink. By the second week, he said, I want 100. I go, listen, the price only bears 50. He goes, yeah, but it's me. He is now running. Oh yeah. As he's spilling beers on Mark while he's running sound.
And a free
Now, take
bar
a look at
tab.
right now. He is now our Emmy
There he
Award
is.
director.
There he is. Look at him.
Running my entire organization.
All you can drink, right? That was part of the bargain.
That Craigslist ad could have gone completely another way, Jared. Love it. Howie Font coming up. Stand by. Lots of stuff coming. There he is. What is that? What does that say? I can't even.
Gulf of America.
Oh, there you go. Go.
Oh my God.
over 175 countries and all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. It's the Big Biz Show. As always, thank you to the brave men and women of our United States Armed Forces. Eternally indebted to you for what you do. I am Costa, Maribert Godwin, Greg Todorov, sitting here inside the Loft 100 studios. And of course, Sully.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be seen.
Oh, yeah.
We got our bars. So yours was called the Lamplighter?
It was karaoke bar.
Was that an every night thing?
Oh yeah, every
Wow.
night. Yep.
Nothing like
Does it still go on?
Tuesday morning after Monday night karaoke.
I mean, I was in my 20s. What are you gonna do?
I can see. Well, we used to play from 7 p.m. till midnight on Sundays.
Oh, my God.
And the place was more packed at midnight on Sundays.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you people have homes? Interesting.
The way to fight the Sunday scaries.
Well, speaking of somebody who does that now,
Oh.
our very own Howie Font joins us. Here it comes. Out of New York City, everybody. Howard tells me, I called him over the weekend. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I want to make sure he's having fun." He said he walked what did you say, 11 miles, the Upper West Side or the whole West Side of Manhattan or something? What did you do?
Yeah, I walked it's called the West Side Highway. Beautiful day in the city, so I had to get out there.
Then again, just 2 weeks ago.
Sorry.
Then again, 2 weeks ago, though, I called him and he was completely destroyed after an evening in New York with his friends.
Temple to tequila. Sorry, I should correct myself. Yeah.
Greg, they have a temple to tequila in New York City.
I'm going.
Howie, I want to talk about these tariffs. Tariffs are a tax that the importing company to the company that imports goods charges a fee to. Talk about why this is so the importing company charges the importer, right? Or is it the other way around?
I'm sorry, there's a small typo. It's the importing country charges to companies that import goods.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk about this.
So
what's
this
the purpose?
The purpose of tariffs are not to usually it's not to raise funds.
Or destroy the market.
Disincentives and help domestic producers usually.
Okay, but the idea though is this is being punitive. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're saying if Sony imports Japanese TV, the U.S. government charges 25% of the value of those TVs to Sony for importing them, right?
That's right.
Okay,
yep.
So now Sony can absorb the cost. Why would they? They're a publicly traded company. Their shareholders not going to put up with that, so they have to pass those costs along to the consumer.
No, that's right. I mean, I mentioned the absorbing consumers just because I think it's important to say, if the market does think that these are temporary, or if companies are willing to do that for a short period of time, you could see inflation taking a beat, or they could absorb them because the market won't bear the new true cost of their goods and services. So, okay, all my competitors are maximum 5% higher than me. Now I have a 25% tariff on. I can't raise prices more than 5%.
Howie, this is obviously President Trump telling Canada and Mexico, shore up your borders, help us keep the drugs and the bad people from flowing into our country. Is this going to be temporary in your mind until they come to the table and start playing ball?
Yeah, so there are lots of levels of tariffs that are happening, and there are lots of dates and for lots of reasons. So just to kind of parse that out, I think some of the tariffs are going to stay in place for longer, and I think there are some tariffs that are just used as temporary leverage here. So, for example, Canada and the U.S. have a pretty even trade balance. We import a lot of energy from Canada. Canada's only doing a retaliatory tariff of 10%, not 25%. On energy because it's so important to both economies. I think that one probably goes away after some deal. Mexico and China, however, we have imbalanced trade relationships with them, so we can put tariffs on, and it hurts them more than it hurts us for now. I mean, we will feel some inflation, but they will feel it in their economy. The short answer to your long question.
At the end of the day here, it's taken almost 2% out of the Dow since the announcement.
Was it down 600 something?
Yeah,
today?
I mean it's
just today actually it's about 2%. Yeah, I mean the market's down from its Trump lift and down for the year I think about 5% if we're talking the S&P.
Which is interesting because as I mentioned before, oftentimes markets do better under Democratic administrations, economies do better under Republican administrations. Markets do worse under Republican administrations. Economies do worse under Democratic administrations. So with this is the same thing Donald Trump did last time he was in office. Okay, he did the exact same thing, had the exact same effect on the markets. Didn't have the exact same effect on prices, however. What's going to happen now in an inflationary environment that we're in, we're trying to get out of, and now all of a sudden we're increasing prices potentially because these companies are going to have to make up the import tax / tariff by charging us more, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think this isn't a unique position, but I am of the opinion that these tariffs have to be for the good, they have to be used as leverage. And this is part of the art of the deal that is Trump 2.0. So understanding all that, it could be a good thing. If the new normal is going to be we have tariffs all the time and we just put up all these walls, I think that will be just all around worse. It's way too early to say.
Let me push back because I think the worst would be a value-added tax. A VAT across the board on top of tariffs would kill any sort of an economy.
Well, I don't know who's saying that.
No, I'm just saying. Well, that's what's happening in Europe at this point. They're banting about this VAT on top of tariffs, and I don't think our economy can stand that right now.
Yeah, but that's to the extent that's true. That's a tariff on the Europeans for themselves. I mean, and that is a tax to raise funds. So that's the Europeans doing what they normally do and hurting themselves.
So as he chuckles, look at him.
So just to be clear, the 25% tariff began today on Canada and Mexico, or just Canada?
Canada and Mexico, and then China has an additional 20%. It was going to be 10, and then just one day we decided it was going to be 20 on top of the additional tariffs that have been on actually since Trump's first term. The Biden administration did not take those away. So
why would this affect, and how would this affect interest rates? Because I hear that potentially the Fed would not do any more rate cuts as a result of this. Why? I would assume it would be rate increases that they wouldn't do, but talk to us about that for a minute.
Yeah, so most forecasts of the beginning of 2025 had 2 rate cuts priced in towards the end of the year. I mean, we spoke about it a little bit, but the 50 basis point cut in December was probably a little bit too much. So they're going to wait the entire year, basically, and wait for the economy to weaken, especially employment, before cutting rates, because you cut rates because you want to stimulate economic activity. But cutting rates also can lead to inflation. So if we have tariffs that are going to help inflation re-spike, then cutting rates is probably not a smart move, and you have to kind of accept the economic consequences of that.
Howie, talk about trade negotiations. Is that a possibility? With who? How fast? And what's the outcome?
Oh, I mean, I think this is a 3D chess game that Trump is playing. I think there are definitely going to be talks. I think, like I said, we're going to have a deal with Canada in short order. I think this is probably a more political move to give a boost to the conservatives in Canada. Trudeau is out, I think, over the summer, so we'll keep those on through their election, and then their new prime minister can get a bump from that and a better relationship with Trump because of it. So I think that's what's going to happen there. The EU, we haven't even started really. China, a grander deal is probably what the Chinese want, but it's not going to happen in a matter of months. So, like I said, I think
with all the currency manipulation that China does, I mean, our tariffs are just a freaking are a preemptive strike, basically.
Yeah. So what's going to happen in April is the Trump administration is going to do reciprocal tariffs. So if you have a 15% tariff on us for X good, we're going to put a 15% good on tariff on the same good. But they're also going to say, hey, your VAT tax is basically a tariff, so we're treating that reciprocally. Hey, you have this practice that's non-economic but is like a big barrier to entry. We're going to put a tariff on that too. So those will happen in April, and I think that's when real pain will start, and then negotiations can properly begin.
Market analyst Howie Font, how do you think the market is going to do for the rest of 2025?
Oh, if I knew that, I'd make a lot of money.
Come on, bro. It says market analyst under your name on the TV screen. Come on.
No, listen. I'm happy to put my ego on the line and give an analysis here. I think that we probably have single-digit growth. That's the consensus. There are reasons to think that the economy is going to weaken, employment being chief among them. I think it's okay in the long term to accept some of the tariff volatility if we get trade in a more proper direction. So I'm not really worried about that, but I do think it probably hurts the economy the market this year, which is the question you asked. And then it's also important to say we had double-digit growth 2 years in a row for the last 2 years.
Right.
Expecting the third year, that's a little greedy.
Yeah, but with Donald Trump's in office, we thought the rainbows and flowers and
It'll happen. And just give it time.
Thank you, Howard. See you tomorrow. Howie Font, market analyst, Big Biz Show. Well, you feel better or worse?
I feel better. I knew there was going to be a little before we start seeing those sunshines and rainbows come back.
More good news. Patrick DeHaan from GasBuddy.com coming up on the break. See you in a minute.
Big Biz Show rolls on. Thanks everybody for being along for the ride. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what you're listening to. We appreciate you being with us here for the show. Costa, Maribel Godwin. Our exec producer is Greg Todorov, that handsome gent right there. And of course, the man with the plan, as they say, Sully. This is the co-founder of Turtlebox Audio, Mr. Will Bradley, joining us on the show this afternoon. Tell us about the genesis, the origin. How did Turtlebox speakers come about?
Oh man, it started 12 years ago in our garage. I was living with three of my best friends. We were all bachelors at the time, late 20s, early 30s. And it was right after the kind of 2008, 2009 crash in real estate when I was in the real estate business. So we were all broke as a joke, and broke a couple of portable speakers at the time. And I was like, man, there's got to be something better out there. And me and my buddies, we built the first Turtlebox in the garage. It was never meant to be a business, and it was just for us. And people wanted to start buying it. So
what's the difference between, let's say, the little cube thing I walk around with, and so on? Because I know the difference, but I want you to talk about it because this really is significant here. How this
substantial?
This is different.
Yeah, I mean, well, one, we're a Houston, Texas company, so we're about 45 minutes from the coast. And so there's outdoors, and then there's like coastal outdoors and saltwater and marine environments, and electronics and the coast just don't go hand in hand. And so there's a big difference in that. And back then, 12 years ago, I noticed that all portable speakers were really meant for the indoors, which didn't make sense. Why create a portable speaker if you're always going to be around to plug? So this is truly a marine grade portable speaker. So it's outdoors, but also truly waterproof and truly marine grade, which means all the components are stainless, titanium tweeter, and it's bomb proof. So
the when you said you and your friends made this in the garage, was it because I will tell you, Rick DeVoe, who's a avid surfer, he's got 3 fishing boats. Yep. As a commercial, I mean, this is why he bought your device, is because he's in the water most of the time, and this is going back from the time he was a kid. The minute he saw this, he started buying. He said, of course, Rick DeVoe is our manager, the guy who founded Blink-182, pretty famous guy, and at the same time, he is a devout follower of your brand. How did you guys decide we're going to make a bulletproof Bluetooth box?
Well, yeah, after we built that first one in the garage, really it was kind of the market decided, because it wasn't meant to be a business, and people wanted to start buying it. Why did you guys do it? You
guys just needed something for the boat?
Yeah, we needed something. We had a sailboat back in the day, and it's an $8,000, 29-foot Ranger sailboat that we all got fixed up and got working, and so we used it for our sailboat. We also lived on Buffalo Bayou, and so we spent a lot of time kayaking and canoeing down the bayou, and needed something super loud and that was waterproof. And turns out other people did too. They wanted to start buying it, and we decided to turn it into a business.
What was that, real quick, what was that tipping point when you decided the market was going to pick it up? There had to be that day you realized, well, we're going to put it on Amazon, and we're going to put it in retail, and then suddenly you had more business and money to make them, I'm assuming, like most small businesses, right?
Yeah. So I kind of see it as 2 phases. One, when we decided to go into business together, we basically started a garage-based business. We built and sold 50 garage-made turtle boxes, and we sold them for $350. So that was really more of a market test, if anything. And we realized, okay, I think we have something here. so after that year, we decided to go raise a little bit of capital. And when I say a little bit, it was $145,000. Definitely not enough to start a company, but we thought it was.
That's almost not enough to do legal fees on something like this, right?
And luckily, our investor, still our current and only investor, great man, and he bought one of those first 50 in the garages and really believed in us. I think he probably laughed to himself knowing that we'd be back to the well for more money, which we were. But we were pretty scrappy guys, and we were able to. We did get it launched for $145K, if you can believe that.
Did I hear correctly that 2020 was your magic year? That you got, like, you geniuses decided I'm going to put this in the market during the middle of COVID, which actually was a genius move at the time.
Yeah, that video that y'all were showing earlier, it was kind of our About Us. I actually filmed that around February of COVID, and I thought we were going to shut the business down. I was like, no one in this environment's going to need a $400 speaker, and
everybody turned out needing one.
Turns out everybody did, and so demand went through the roof. Supply was terrible. We were sold out on and off 6 months out of that year. Jeez. And but we managed and weathered through COVID well, and really the COVID boom for us never stopped. We've seen it sink a lot of other outdoor brands where they got too much inventory post-COVID, or we even saw one of the great marine engine companies went out of business during COVID. I was like, how is that possible? Because demand was through the roof. But even though demand was high, it was still hard. You had to manage extraordinary shipping costs and supply times and cash crunches. So COVID wasn't all gravy, but it was good for demand, and that was really the catalyst that where I saw our business really take off.
Will Bradley, the co-founder of Turtlebox Audio, their website is turtleboxaudio.com. So, Will, you've also got the Ranger, the Grande as well.
Yeah, what are the difference between the three products?
The Grande is the biggest one, right? Hence the word Grande.
Yeah. So we were a one-product company for 6 years. So when I told you we started making them in the garage, that was 12 years ago. From going to garage to mass market took us about 4 years. Super hard process, and we can get into that if you want. But we launched mass market on Indiegogo 6.5 years ago, and we were a one-product company for these last 6 years. We actually just launched 2 new products in the last 30 days: a Grande speaker and a mini speaker, which is our Ranger. So the original Turtlebox is a 6x9 and a waterproof housing. We kind of call it the flagship. We think it's the perfect blend of portability and loudness. It's kind of the perfect solution for 90% of all your needs. But we started hearing feedback from our customers. Hey, I've got an event. It's a golf tournament. We've got 150 people. How many can I pair together? We need more sound. And so the Grande is our solution to that. It also comes with party mode, so you can connect limitless. You can go. We've had 90 of them paired together. Wow. And so for bigger events, again, it's I would say it's the product you don't need. It's you don't need it 90% of the time, but it's for the guy that wants to have the biggest and baddest, and it's for those events where you've got 100 plus awesome people.
What model is this one I'm seeing here? Can you see that? Are you able to see that?
Yeah, that's our original product. I mean, that's the one that started it all. That is our second generation product, and so right around COVID, that product launched, and I think a blend of COVID and our second generation, that where we listened to our customers for 3 years and just made the original Turtlebox bigger, badder, louder, and we feel like it's the best portable outdoor speaker on the market.
Who gets this? Who gets this?
Okay, so right now, any of you active military who are watching or listening, does not matter where you are in the world, hit me up at mike@sullyentgroup.com.
We'll put it up on the screen there.
Mike@sully, SULLYENT group.com. The first one who gets in is just say, active military, just a small thank you on our part. We will send you this wonderful Turtlebox Audio speaker too.
Oh, look, it's Trace, a drummer from San Diego. Active military.
Hey, Will, before you let you go, everybody in the studio has been hammering me, so if you could text me like the family and friends discount code.
Do not do that. You'll go out of business. Hey, will you come? We'd love you to come in studio at some point. We'd love to feature all your stuff, man. I really appreciate you coming in there with us.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, we'll hook you guys up. Don't worry about that.
Will Bradley, co-founder, Turtlebox Audio website again.
The deal.
Turtleboxaudio.com. And again, hit me up in the Loft 100 studios. Costa, Mary Bergavin, Greg Todoroff, and
It's going to
Sully.
rain for a couple days here.
Yeah. I think we were forecasted to have a lot more rain than we did this past weekend, but we've got another winter storm making its way in this week.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we do.
Speaking of winter storms, I'm heading to Minneapolis next week.
Oh, have fun with that.
No. I know, lucky. I'm going to go see not one but both my daughters and a Timberwolves game. And
that's cool.
I got like 7th row.
Nice.
Somebody back there knows something. But yeah, I get to go T-Wolves and Orlando Magic.
Very, very cool.
But I was asking my daughter McKenna, who is a graphic designer of some note, and she lives back there in that, and I guess we're part of the year it's miserable, but I guess it's got the worst PR firm in the world because it's supposed to be a beautiful city.
Minneapolis? It is beautiful.
But I said, okay, so give me the real, am I dressing for like I'm skiing, I'm in Banff, hella skiing? And she says, no. She goes, you just have to wear a coat because you're only out in it from the car to inside.
Pretty much. Yeah, everything's inside.
You don't stroll the streets of Minneapolis.
I think when you go to Minneapolis, you have to dress like Prince.
Is that what?
Purple.
You got to get your Prince.
Well, speaking of that very same McKenna, who suffers from MS, our very next guest, Jason Tardio, President and Chief Operating Officer of Immunic Therapeutics. We've had Daniel Vitt on the air this before. IMUX is the stock symbol of this company, but it's really interesting because they have a lead candidate that's going into phase 2 for multiple sclerosis, and he joins us here on the Big Biz Show. Jason, thanks so much for taking the time out. You are a company that obviously I'm very interested in. Obviously, we're following you very closely and helping you guys out and love the fact that we get a chance to talk to you. Give us an update for folks that haven't seen you guys before, exactly what you guys are doing and exactly how you're going to change the world in terms of MS and progressive MS.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And Sully, as you know, MS is a very common neurological disorder. The National Multiple Sclerosis Society estimates that there's 3 million people worldwide and 1 million in the United States alone living with this disease. And even though there's 15 or so available therapies today for the relapsing forms of multiple sclerosis, there's still a huge unmet need. There's 3 subtypes of this disease, as I've mentioned, relapsing disease, but also secondary progressive MS, and then primary progressive multiple sclerosis. The progressive forms really have no available therapies today. So we at Immunic Therapeutics are developing a medicine called vidofludimus calcium. It's currently in phase 3 development to address relapsing forms of the disease. And in parallel, it's also in phase 2 development for both the progressive forms of the disease, of which we'll have data readout in April, so right around the corner.
Hey, Jason, could you just break down how does MS affect a person? You said it's a neurological disease, but there's different phases, right? And it's progressive and chronic, right?
Yeah, so it is a lifelong chronic disorder. It is an autoimmune condition. So in simplistic form, the body's own immune system attacks the central nervous system, attacks the spinal cord, and specifically it attacks the fatty substance called the myelin sheath that protects the neurons. It eats away at this protective cover, eventually gets to the body or the axon, and eats away at the axon of these neurons and creates permanent scarring. And so when this attack is happening, you get this inflammatory activity, and patients will present with different relapses. They'll present with different flare-ups, and depending on where it happens in the brain or spinal cord, they have a variety of different symptoms, such as optic neuritis or blurry vision, bowel and bladder dysfunction, lower limb weakness. It could be, again, a variety of different symptoms. And so the most common form is relapsing forms of MS. This accounts for about 75% of the total population. And again, in relapsing disease, there's inflammatory activity, there's flare-ups and relapses that happen. I've mentioned there's also progressive forms of the disease, of which accounts for roughly 25%. One form of that is called secondary progressive MS. The other form is called primary progressive MS. And the difference of the progressive forms as opposed to the relapsing forms is that you no longer have inflammatory activity. It's really just a constant decline of a progressive state, and patients and individuals alike have physical disability accumulation. They have cognitive disability accumulation. And so again, we're hoping to address both of these forms of the disease with vidofludimus calcium.
Jason Tardio is the president CEO of Immunic Therapeutics. Their ticker symbol is IMUX. Jason, is this something that normally presents itself early in childhood, or can it happen with teenagers, young adults, older people?
Yeah, it's largely a disease of young individuals. Most individuals with multiple sclerosis are diagnosed in the third or fourth generations, or in their 30s or 40s. Okay. There is a pediatric component. It's only about 5% of the total population. But yeah, these patients are diagnosed relatively at a young age. They have their whole life to live in front of them. And so, as you can imagine, the biggest concern of individuals diagnosed with MS is their ability to live an independent life.
Sure.
They have fears of ending up in the wheelchair. They have fears of not being able to live the dreams that they've envisioned for themselves. And so, again, the beautiful thing about the medicines like vidofludimus calcium that we're developing is that patients with the disease today, if they can get on the appropriate therapy relatively early in the disease, more often than not, they think they can go on to lead a relatively normal life.
So it's interesting because my mother was diagnosed when she was 45 and knew there was something up, didn't her entire life, and she has a lower limb weakness. And of course,
how old was McKenna?
McKenna was 25.
Really?
Wow.
But it's interesting because it's two different types of MS.
Okay.
And McKenna got it so early that McKenna, first of all, it shocked her into eating better and going into shape.
There you go.
It was a turning point for her. And now she lives an absolutely normal life. She goes and gets infusions a couple times a year. Talk about your drug exactly, because you guys are really differentiating the MS market here. And I know you've talked about where we're at, but talk about what is the real tiebreaker here? What makes you guys bigger, better, faster, stronger, or cheaper? What's the tiebreaker for you guys?
Yeah, so multiple sclerosis, as I've mentioned, is a disease of neuroinflammation, but also a disease of neurodegeneration. And so ideally, you want a medicine that attacks both aspects of the disease, right? You want a medicine that is anti-inflammatory in nature, but you also want a medicine that's neuroprotective in nature. Vidofludimus calcium is the first dual mechanistic approach to address the full spectrum of multiple sclerosis. It's an inhibitor of an enzyme called DHODH, which will provide potent anti-inflammatory effects. But it's also a activator of a nuclear receptor called NER1, which we know is neuroprotective in nature. And so the hope here is with our convenient once-a-day oral therapy, we'll be able to address, again, not only relapsing forms of the disease, but also the neurodegenerative or more progressive forms of the disease as well.
Jason, as far as the overall outlook with what you guys are doing and MS in general, is it one of those situations where you're ahead of it, you're about to get ahead of it, you're staying neck and neck with it?
Or will there even be a cure?
Or, will there ever be a cure eventually?
Well, the hope is one day we'll have a cure, but unfortunately we're not quite there just yet. And even with, as I've mentioned, 15 or so available therapies for the relapsing forms of the disease, there's still unmet need. Patients continue to progress. We also know that there's a need for medicines that are safer, medicines that are better tolerated. Again, this is a lifelong condition, so individuals diagnosed with multiple sclerosis will have to take these medicines for the remainder of their life. Unfortunately, many of the available therapies today come with some safety trade-offs. Sure. And the Achilles heel of many of these medicines is that they can cause serious infections that could lead to death. They can cause an increase in malignancies or cancers. They can cause liver toxicities or hepatotoxicities. And so there's always this trade-off between the benefits of the medicine and the potential safety concerns or safety risks associated with the medicine. With vidofludimus calcium, we see very, very good efficacy signals based upon our data to date. And as important, we see a safety and tolerability profile that we believe will be best in disease. And so again, you combine that with the convenience of just once daily dosing, we think we have a winner on our hands.
Hey, I got to ask you, Jay, before you get out of here, you guys are at the Society for Virology right now. You've got, like, in the next 3 days, you're talking to everybody. What are you guys looking most forward to? Because you're having a lot of conversations here for 2025. I mean, look, we're only 2 months into this thing. The thing is shaping up in one direction. It looks like biopharma is doing better already than it did last year in terms of availability of capital and everything else. What are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, a couple of things from our side. As I've mentioned, we have this phase 2 readout of our Caliber study in progressive MS.
And that's in April. That's April, correct?
That's right around the corner in April. So we're very much looking forward to that. We're continuing to enroll our phase 3 programs, the Ensure-1 and Ensure-2 program in relapsing forms of MS, and hope to complete enrollment in the not too distant near future. Those studies are scheduled to be completed in 2026, so that's not too far out as well. And then, of course, look, we're continuing to have partnership discussions. As you can imagine, Big Pharma is very interested in a medicine like vidofludimus calcium. There's patent cliffs that are happening, over $400 billion in potential revenues over the next 10 years or so that will be lost due to patent cliffs. So Big Pharma is always looking to restock their pipeline, and we think a medicine like vidofludimus calcium could fit quite nicely in a number of these companies.
I need you back more often, man. We want to get you as much as possible, get you into San Diego and so on and so forth.
He is Jason Tardio, the president and COO of Immunic Therapeutics. Their ticker symbol is IMUX. Jason, as always, appreciate the time. Speaking of time, we are all out of it, unfortunately. As always, thanks for staying with us. Thanks for being along for this ride of the Big Biz Show. A lot more to come your way. The wonderful noise you hear, of course, is the DTT, the Day Trader Trio, best in the business. Costa Merber, Godwin, Greg Todorov, as the Big Biz Show rolls on, and Sully.
There we go. All right. Are you even looking at the gas price anymore? I'm to the point now where I just go to the gas, open it up, and don't even look.
I don't look.
Remember the day when you used to look like you were like looking? I don't even look anymore.
I was out in Palm Springs over the weekend, and I filled up at the
Another club on Palm Springs?
the Agua Caliente gas station that's next door to the casino, and it was $4.09 for unleaded. And I felt good about that.
As in, she's real fine, my...
$4.09 by the Beach Boys.
No kidding.
Yeah.
$4.09 for gas. So the further away from the beach...
I'm assuming that's probably what's going on.
What is it going here in LA, San Diego, and such? $5? $4?
I think so.
For what? $4.29.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Costco, because it's
that's
like
different.
I'm not going to spend an hour at Costco.
That's right.
Of my time and spend 30 minutes driving it.
There's the
but
trade-off.
now the hoses
When I was a kid,
reach
though-
to both sides of your vehicle, so there's not waiting to get on the side that your gas tanks.
Is that what Costco has?
Yeah.
Wait, what do they do?
The gas hose to the
Yeah?
tank reaches both sides of the
Oh,
vehicle, so you don't have to
brilliant.
worry anymore.
That's smart.
And it
That
gets
is
you
smart.
that quicker to the food court for pizza and hot dogs.
Oh, now we're talking.
He knows all about all this stuff.
Yeah. Patrick DeHaan, he is the head of petroleum analysis for GasBuddy. You can go to gasbuddy.com. Love talking.
He's been on this show for almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Rarely does he have good news, but we still have him back on the show.
What's up,
Patrick?
bud? You look great.
Hey, thank you. Hey, well, you can invite me on too when gas prices go down, but nobody really, we get excited about what we pay, but it's not that much of a headline.
No, it's good news. We only wanted when he offers us bad news.
Yeah.
So what is, right now we got tariffs going on, we got energy, we import an awful lot of gas from, we would be energy independent between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we'd have 85% of what we need. But with the tariffs and such now, on top of everything else, give us an overview, Patrick, on what's happening with the gas world here in the U.S.
Well, I did get you, by the way. Gas prices, at least in California, are down over the last week. That's because the refinery fire that caused prices to go up. Well, gasoline supply has been coming from overseas. So California is down about 7 cents a gallon in the last week. Still on average, $4.72. But as you mentioned, a lot of noise when it comes to energy headlines. Just a couple of them, the possible U.S. sanctions relief on Russia, if that can be negotiated. OPEC Plus yesterday deciding to start restoring oil production. And of course, the tariffs, which are going to have a major impact, but not everywhere. Mostly in New England, where they rely on a lot of Canadian refinery output, things like gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, heating oil, all that in New England is going to cause prices to go up there. I know California doesn't get much of a break, but believe it or not, the tariffs aren't going to be a huge driver of prices in California. Prices should maybe continue moderating, but we are still amidst the seasonal transition.
Wait a minute, hold on. It's March, March, April, May, June. So we got 4 months until the dreaded
Summer blend.
Summer blend.
Oh, the summer blend.
Now, are we paying, what is
Delicious.
it now, Patrick? I say we, I realize our shows across the country, internationally, on American forces and so on and so forth. But all we care about is San Diego. We're paying 83 cents more per gallon here in California in environmental fees. And that doesn't count taxes. That's one of the reasons we're higher, right, Patrick? I just want to let people understand what they're looking at. Where the rest of, yellow means the most expensive. But remember, you guys used to be red and green? We were purple at that point. But you changed your colors on the map. Is that the reason, Patrick? Is it because of the environmental fees, mainly for California?
Absolutely. Gasoline taxes, the low carbon fuel standard, cap and trade. There's a lot of stuff there. Carb mandated blends. Keep in mind, California has its own standard. So, and believe it or not, a lot of folks, summer blend. Is this a Starbucks drink? No, it's really not. It's something that the Air Resources Board requires. So we've actually started making that transition already in most of Southern California. In fact, much of the nation's already made the first step towards summer gasoline. I really could use a little bit more summer weather if we're already talking about the transition happening.
Speaking of transitions, I'm noticing that in the Baja Peninsula, as you head north, now is named the Gulf of Starbucks, if I'm not mistaken.
How'd that happen?
You guys have changed over there. Hey, Patrick, we can't move much further without talking about EVs and about the infrastructure that's being laid for what may or may not be a boom or bust economy in terms of electric vehicles. Do you foresee gasoline being here in the next 20, 30 years as pervasive as it is now? I mean, oil's a good thing for this country in terms of the economy.
Well, I mean, California and the rest of the nation were two different things there. California has certainly gone after the building out of new gas stations, and I think they've still banned new gas stations in some communities in California. Heck, I can see gasoline going out until, I end up in some grave somewhere. I think liquid fuels are still going to be around. There's going to be a lot of the transition talk that slows down. Obviously, the White House, Trump's administration trying to roll back a lot of those rules. But it just makes more sense in some areas to have liquid fuels where there's not a whole lot of infrastructure. And it makes more sense in some of the bigger cities in California to have electric vehicles. But, no matter what it is, liquid fuels or electric vehicles, sometimes you're just going to run into grid challenges. And I think that's one of the biggest ones, especially for Californians right now, is just so many EVs, so many wildfires and other natural events that are making this transition a little bit tricky. And also, highlighting why we shouldn't just put all of our eggs in one basket, whether that's EVs or internal combustion engine vehicles.
Well, all I know is that Houston, Texas is at 229. Patrick, appreciate that. In the meantime, Mike Costa, our local gas price forecaster. Mike, can you give us I'm sorry, wrong one, sorry.
Certainly. Hey, welcome back to Good Morning Sheboygan. Before we get back to the desk, I'm Mike Costa, your gas weather forecaster. Of course, as you look over here at the West Coast, highest gas prices in the nation. That's why the wonderful state of California is yellow. Of course, down here in San Diego, we are really taking it in the shorts. Now, when you get back to the rest of the country there in the Midwest, of course, as you go up here to the Northeast and the Mideast and the Far East and stuff, their gas is a lot lower because they're a lot closer to water and whatnot really helps gas prices stay low. But as a whole, as far as the United States is concerned, gas prices are Let's get back to Sully, of course. He's going to be talking about the big crafts fair coming up this weekend. Sully, let's go back to you.
Mike Costa, ladies and gentlemen. Listed the Weathercast.
Damn.
Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com. We'll see you in a minute. Wow, buddy.
Sheboygan.
74. 74. Yeah. 229.